capitalism is the best system against poverty. This is proved by history time and again. And on the other hand, there were 24 socialist experiments in the last century. They tried it in so many different ways. In the Soviet Union, in another way as in Yugoslavia. In North Korea, in another way as in Cuba, for example, or Romania in another way than in East Germany. But they have all one in common. Every socialist experiment failed without any exception. The situation of people wasn't improved one time. But the problem is, if you tell this to socialists, they will tell you, oh, wait a moment, this is no argument because this wasn't true socialism. They tell you what is true socialism. And the last experiment happened in Venezuela. Let's add only last thing, something about Venezuela. In 1970, Venezuela was one of the 20 richest countries in the world. One of the 20 richest countries. Then they started with regulation, more regulation, less economic freedom, and the situation became bad. And then people in Venezuela made a big mistake. In the end of the 90s, they voted for Hugo Chavez, for a socialist. And he promised everything will become better. In the first years, things became better because he had good luck that oil prices were 10 times higher 2 years after he came to power. But then he started with all these crazy things like nationalization, and it's a disaster. The inflation rate in Venezuela some years ago was 1,000,000% the year. 10% of the population fled. People live in poverty there, and they abolished the freedom of press, freedom of speech. They abolished democracy. This is what happened all the time. And now what is important? When Hugo Chavez came to power in the end of the 90s, the anti-capitalists, the intellectuals in the United States and in Europe were so enthusiastic. They called it the socialism of the 21st century, the socialism of the 21st century. They were so happy that they had now a new role model, Hugo Chavez in Venezuela, because North Korea didn't seem so attractive for a lot of people. And so they praised him. Hugo Chavez, he's great, he will fight poverty. And then when this experiment failed, as every other experiment failed in the last century, what did they tell you then today? Oh, no, sorry, this wasn't real socialism, but next time it will be better. And this is the same old story that they tell us now that's more than 100 years.